What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Black Bookshelf Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Walker, and I'm back with a new book review, The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. And this book is definitely different from any books that I previously read. We're going to get right on into this book review, but before we do, hit that subscribe button below if you into books by Black authors that are in the genre of Black romance, Black thrillers, Black mysteries, Black fiction and nonfiction. Hit that subscribe button below, and we're going to get right on into it. The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride is a historical novel set into the 1970s Pottstown, Pennsylvania. The story begins with the discovery of a skeleton in a well, which reopens old secrets in a once thriving, racially rich, and ethnically diverse neighborhood called Chicken Hill. The novel flashes back into the 1920s and 30s, focusing on a Jewish couple, Moshe and Chona Ludlow, who own the Heaven and Earth grocery store on Chicken Hill. Chona, despite her disability, becomes a hero by helping marginalized Black and brown and Jewish people, including a deaf Black boy named Dodo, who's one of the main characters, who is threatened with being placed in a mental institution after becoming deaf. As the community bands together to protect Dodo, the novel explores themes of prejudice, solidarity, compassion, and resilience. Through richly drawn-out characters and McBride's signature warmth and humor, the story highlights how ordinary people can defy injustice through brave acts. Ultimately, the Heaven and Earth grocery store is a celebration of community, love, and the power of doing what's morally right. So, three things that I liked about the Heaven and Earth grocery store are, number one, all the characters are introduced with layers and context. It's almost to a fault in this book. Every character is built up. You know their story. You know where they come from. You know their personality. Everything about you almost know what they look like as far as the imagery of each character is built out thoroughly, and that is something that indicates that, okay, this is great writing. When I can actually visualize the character, I feel like, okay, that's great writing. So that is one thing that I did find impressive about the book. The second thing I found impressive about the book was the solidarity of Black and Jewish community in times of trouble. I think more times often than not, stories in real life and in novels and in movies, Black and Jewish people don't oftentimes work together, but ultimately both have been marginalized throughout history, both have been discriminated against, both have faced racial injustice throughout the entirety of their races. So the solidarity of Black and Jewish people in times of trouble in this book was definitely something that provided me hope. The third thing that I liked the most about the book was, and also my favorite character of the book, was Chona. Her toughness and resilience, I definitely enjoyed that throughout the book, because we're talking about a disabled Jewish lady who was definitely against racism. She was down for helping out the poorest people of the community. She was down for helping out people regardless of race, ethnicity, sex, and religious and religion preference throughout this book. And she was a spiritually mature woman, and she was the community leader in this book. And I thought that was definitely profound, because a lot of books don't have women as the primary leader of a community in a book. So I thought that was definitely dope. Three things that I didn't like about the Heaven and Earth grocery store was, number one, it was too many characters and too many storylines. Throughout the book, it's like you almost can't keep up with how many characters it is. Oftentimes I felt myself turning back the pages to kind of say, oh, okay, well, okay, this is this person and this is that person. and okay, this is why this intersects. It's too many characters. It's kind of a busy book. Each and then it'll flash forward and then it'll flash back, and it was kind of confusing. I a lot of times in this book, I kind of felt confused about the different characters. The characters, like I said, was provided with context, but it was just too many characters. This book, the second thing I didn't like, this book was advertised as a mystery, and it's not really a mystery. You start off reading the beginning of a book thinking, okay, this is gonna be a murder mystery. The first scene is a skeleton being found in a well. But ultimately, this book really isn't that much of a mystery, and I kind of felt like I was waiting for that part to happen, and it just never did. It was a full circle moment at the end, but ultimately, this book isn't a mystery, and you shouldn't read it like one. The third thing that I didn't like about the Heaven and Earth grocery store was you have to understand a lot of Jewish vernacular and Jewish slang to understand a lot of the reading. Oftentimes, I kind of found myself Googling different terms that some of the Jewish characters in the book were saying because I'm a black male. I just hadn't been introduced to that type of words, vocabulary. So a lot of the times I kind of felt myself not understanding what was being said by some of the Jewish characters, and it ended up being kind of a boring read, throughout it. It was just, a lot of language issues throughout this book, in my opinion. But my favorite part of the Heaven and Earth grocery store was the murder of Doc Roberts. The murder of Doc Roberts was was kind of like, to me, the best moment of the book, because Doc Roberts, if you hadn't read this book or if you're going to read this book, Doc Roberts is a medical doctor in the town of Chicken Hill, but he moonlights as a Ku Klux Klansman. And everybody knows it's him because he's also disabled and he walks with a limp with his cape on. And I thought that was very important because to me, he's kind of like the town antagonist. He treats the white people really well, but none of the black and Jewish people trust him in his ways with medicine and with health. And he was just a terrible person who thought he was entitled and thought that, everybody white deserves this, and he was definitely a racist. And so I thought the murder of him was the big full circle moment in the book. And it was, the best part of the book. I also got a second favorite part, the breaking out of Dodo out of the mental institution. I thought that was real dope that the community banded together. They all had a plan. They all set everything in place so that they could break this boy out of the mental institution. And ultimately he ended up having a great life outside of that, ended up having a family and everything like that. So I thought that was dope as well. Finally, book rating of the Heaven and Earth grocery store. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. I mean, it had funny moments. I enjoyed the resilience. I enjoyed the solidarity of the black and Jewish community. But I wouldn't read it again, and I wouldn't recommend it. This book is actually very slow burn. It's boring. Too many words that, are probably normal words in the Jewish community. But to me, it was just too many words that I had to look up. It wasn't an easy read. It wasn't a mystery. And I kind of feel like the storyline was kind of all over the place, and you don't get your full circle moment until the very, very end of the book. So, despite all that, it was a decent read, but I wouldn't read this again. And it is what it is, and peace.